Hello there, welcome to Tea and Reflections. I'm talking today about this book that I've just finished reading, In the Days of Rain by Rebecca Stott, which really had a big impact on me. It's a memoir that she's written about her childhood growing up in the Exclusive Brethren, which is a cult, and how her family gradually broke away and the painful aftermath of all of that. And I related to it, not because I grew up in the Exclusive Brethren, I didn't, but there was enough fundamentalist Christianity or influences from some fundamentalist Christianity in my early years for me to relate to a lot of her stories. And I found it an emotional experience reading the book. So she talks about one of the core beliefs in the Exclusive Brethren is this idea of the rapture. And in my childhood we called it the second coming, this idea that a small group of Christians who are all right and who've believed the right things will be caught up in the air, will go up in the air and join the Lord when the second coming happens, and that everybody else on earth will have what was known as the Great Tribulation, all the dreadful things that we read about in the Bible, earthquakes and floods and terrible suffering, and in the end damnation for all the sinful people left behind. And I had a fear as a child, just as Rebecca Stott did, that I would be one of the ones that was left behind. And there's a song by Larry Norman, this evangelical rock star that we used to listen to, called I Wish We'd All Been Ready, implying, of course, that several of us wouldn't be ready when the second coming happened. And I definitely had a fear that that would be me. My family would probably be all caught up in the air and go to the Lord, but I knew that I wasn't good enough and I would be one of the ones that was left behind. And there was a film that I was shown as a teenager called 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was all about this event at 9 o'clock in the morning when all the righteous people, the ones with the right beliefs and the ones that God was pleased with, they all went up in the air, and then it was a film about those that were left behind. So I look back on all of that now, and I can hardly believe that that was me, that I believed all of that stuff. It just shows how what is so real to you at one stage of your life, that in many years later you don't necessarily identify with it at all. And it shows that you are not your thinking, and I am not my thinking, because for me then, that was my reality, and now I just couldn't be further away from that. And I have gone on this journey of away from black and white religion and black and white beliefs to much more of an open space where, for me, truth lies so often in paradox, in holding together seeming contradictions, and in holding questions where often there just aren't easy answers and there aren't certitudes. I used to be so certain of lots of things, and now I'm certain of very few. But I do think that the way of growth and of going forward for all of us is to understand that there are many paths, and that we need to listen to each other's point of view. And I draw a lot of wisdom and comfort from Richard Rohr, who always speaks to me. He says, each of us must learn to live with paradox, or we cannot peacefully live or live happily even a single day of our lives, because everything on this earth is some mixture of positive and negative charges, just like the atom itself. In fact, we must even learn to love paradox, or we will never be wise, forgiving, or possess the patience of good relationships. So I can relate to that. And one of the practical paradoxes or contradictions I find in my life at the moment is just that I have so many things on my list that I want to do. I'm an active kind of person, and just in the last few weeks I've been particularly busy with things in the house and things in the garden and looking after various people and responsibilities and duties in various different ways. But what happens when I am very active is that then I really miss not having time to read or to be quiet or to reflect. And I find that nearly a whole month has gone by and I haven't done tea and reflections, for example. So it's holding together, isn't it? Those things in our lives that often appear to be in opposition to each other, and discovering that deeper truth that life is not either or, it's both and. So I hope it won't be quite so long again before I do another tea and reflections. I'll see you next time. Bye.